In this video, we're going to talk about summation notation, otherwise known as sigma notation. So we call it sigma notation because we use a Greek symbol or Greek letter sigma right there. And basically what that means right now is add a bunch of stuff together. So we also call it summation notation because we're taking the sums of things. This worksheet happens to use the term series, which is something else you'll look at in calculus. We're just going to use this as a way to introduce the next big topic of calculus. So beyond what we do in this video and tomorrow in class, you won't need to worry about this too much. So what does this mean? It means we're going to be plugging some values in for the variable of this piece right here. And we're going to start with this bottom part right here. We're going to start by plugging in a 1. And then we keep plugging in another integer higher every time. And the top value there tells us when to stop. So in this case, we're going to plug in a 1. Then we'll plug in a 2, then a 3, then a 4, then a 5. And all those things that we get from those different parts, we add together. So for the first one, if I plug in a 1, I'm going to have 4 times 1 squared. Right, because I'm plugging a 1 in for the m. So 4 times 1 squared is 4, plus another 4 gets me 8. And then I would plug a 2 in. So I'd have 2 squared, which is 4, times the 4 that's out front. So 4 times 4 is 16, plus the other 4 is 20. Then I plug a 3 in. So 3 squared is 9. 9 times 4 is 36. 36 plus 4 is 40. I plug a 4 in. 4 squared is 16. 16 times 4 is 64, plus the other 4 is a sum of, if my pen will work here, 68. Then I plug a 5 in, so 5 squared is 25. 25 times 4 is 100, plus a 4 is 104. So when they say write it as a series, they really just mean write out the different things that we'd be adding together. But most of what we'll do will actually be adding these different pieces together as well. And so in the end, our answer here, if we add all that together, we get 240. Okay, next example, we're going to move on to number 4. This one's actually probably a little simpler. But if we look at this notation again, we're going to start by plugging a 1 in, then we'll plug a 2, a 3, a 4, so on and so forth until we get to 6. And we add all those different items together. I shouldn't just mention, they're just using an M here. You can really use whatever letter you want. I'd say most of the time we will probably use an N or a K or an I. But you can use whatever letter. So in this case, if I start by plugging in a 1, I would have 50 minus 1 is 49 for my first term. Then I plug in a 2, which would get me 48. Then I plug in a 3, so 50 minus 3 is 47. 50 minus, let's see, I'm at 4, so I have 46. 50 minus 5 is 45. 50 minus 6 is 44. So I need to add all those together. You may obviously use a calculator for that. There are some tricks that you'll see as you go through and do this. But I believe our answer for this one should be 279. Okay, this third example, question 8, is actually going to look a little different. First of all, they're using the letter A. But if I look at the lower limit here, we're going to start at 4. So the first thing I plug in is a 4. We don't have to start at 1. A lot of times we like to, but there are certainly many times where we have to start at a higher value. Sometimes it actually makes life a little simpler. So if I plug a 4 in, I have to figure out what 4 squared is. That's 16. 20 minus 16 gets me 4 for the first term. Then I plug in a 5. 5 squared is 25. 20 minus 25 is a negative 5. Plug a 6 in. 20 minus 36 gets me negative 16. Plug a 7 in. 20 minus 49 gets me negative 29. Okay, I plug, let's see, that was 7. Now I plug an 8 in. So 20 minus 64 is negative 44. And if I squeeze this in, I plug a 9 in, I get 81. So 20 minus 81 is negative 61. So again, go ahead and use your calculator to actually figure this one out, and you should get negative 151, it looks like. And our last example, kind of going back to some of the earlier ones where we start at 1. But now you see the instructions say evaluate, so here they probably actually mean add everything together. The previous ones, probably the instructions meant just list out the numbers before adding them together. But most of the time, again, we're going to be adding things together. So if you feel confident, you just go ahead and stop the video, see if you can figure this one out. Otherwise, I'm just going to go ahead and solve it. So I plug a 1 in. 1 squared is 1, so I had to start out with my first term of 39. Plug a 2 in. My next term would be 36. Plug a 3 in. I get 31. Plug a 4 in, and I would get 24, right? Because 40 minus 16 is 24. Plug a 5 in, I would get 15. If I plug a 6 in, I would get 4. And if I plug a 7 in, I would end up 40 minus 49. I get negative 9 for that piece. And you should get 140 for this. So see if you have any questions. Again, the general idea is keep plugging values in and then add up all the terms that you get in the end.